What if I told you that there's an app that can transform your smartphone into an external recorder for Sony cameras? With all the cool functions like focus peaking, changing settings, zebras, and for 1/10 of the price. Not all the features works for every single camera, but we're gonna take a look at it. We're gonna focus on the A7 IV today, and let's see if this can make your backpack lighter, not your pocket. Yeah, memory. And a couple of years ago I made a video about this app using the Sony A7 III as an example. It is called Monitor Plus, and by that time my conclusion was that it was amazing for some studio work, YouTube and this kind of stuff, but not really for client work. Because there were some limitations, always written in the bottom of the page. Now we're gonna test it with the A7 IV, and the compatibility list made me very happy with all these green ticks. So I had to try it again. You can see the old video over here or in the link in the description. So let's dive in and see how it works and the features. After downloading the app, you're gonna see that it's possible to do wireless or wired connections. And I could just go on saying that how amazing it is that you can have an external wireless monitor, but the reality is that it's very, very laggy. So for now, I'll just skip how to use it like that, and we're gonna use the wired connection. For now, just grab a USB-C to USB-C cable and you're done. Exactly, no HDMI cables, no capture cards, no need. Now there's only one condition. You need your smartphone to support OTG connections, or the cable has to support it. And this is because you're gonna be inputting data from the camera into the app. And I'm using also the support to have the smartphone on top of the camera. You're gonna find the links for all of these in the description. Done that, all you need is to enable PC remote and be sure to turn off USB power supply, otherwise the smartphone is gonna be feeding the battery on the camera. And then it's just gonna go to zero really fast. Okay, so now on the screen, up here, you're gonna be seeing all the controls on the camera like shutter, aperture, ISO, focusing modes, and you can change everything just by touching on the screen. You can skip f-stops or just use the slider down here. And you can even change the codecs and recording modes directly from here. The histogram is over there, the record button stays here, and you have all the other controls over here. Just like in the newer Sony cameras, you also have this red square around the screen to be sure that you're recording. Okay, so let's dive into the functions that really matter around here. And you can reorder them the way you prefer, so you can put here only the things that you actually use and in the order you use them. For me, the first one are the zebras. They're gonna show you the exact exposure, and you can choose to aim for a certain level, like for example to expose for right skin tones, or you can set a lower limit to see what's clipping above a certain level. This depends a little bit on the picture profile you're using in the camera. If instead you wanna have a better idea of how the whole scene is exposed, you can use this exposure map. This is gonna color everything according to this scale over here, in which black is actually black and white is overexposed. Skin tones should be a little bit above the middle, so they should be a little bit like this, so you can see that in a part of my face that is more well lit, they're yellowish, and in the other side that is a little bit more dark, they're a little bit greenish. You can see how the spots around the lamps are much hotter, but there doesn't seem to be anything clipping. But let's put this ISO a little bit higher. Oh, so now you can really see the white on the shirt here, so this is definitely clipping. Focus peaking will outline what's precisely in focus in the scene. And you can pick the right color that contrasts better with what you're looking at. Usually I prefer red or yellow, but it really depends. On a wider lens with a closed down aperture, it's not gonna help you that much, but it's when you get to those prime lenses and very precise focusing that you're gonna see how helpful it is. Especially with the touch to focus, makes it so much easier when you're doing these transitions between foreground and background. By the way, an extra tip, in newer Sony cameras, you can set the speed of this focus transition. So you can make it look like you have a large and fancy crew behind all the filming, but it's only you tapping on the screen. Now overlays are on, and I really like these to help me with the framing. And you can choose which lines, which aspect ratio you want, but the one that I loved the most was this one here. For all you social media content creators out there, you know how helpful it's gonna be to have this window at 9:16 in the middle, so that you can frame everything correctly for both orientations. Of course, in a case like this, for example, I can just move myself inside the window in post-production, but this gives me an idea also on how much can I expand my hands and still be within the frame, because it's quite difficult to talk without using them. Histograms and waveforms are also available, but I would use these only if I'm filming something else and not myself, otherwise it gets too blurry on the screen and it gets a little bit distracting. But also this is the fanciest screen, so it's the best one for you to showcase your videos to your clients, for example. By the way, during this whole recording, you're seeing the square around my face or on my eyes, meaning that the face and eye autofocus are present, regardless of using the external monitor like smartphone or not. And this is something that takes me back to the A7 III issues that I had before. If you're liking the idea of using this app, just check the compatibility chart to be sure that your model of camera has the same features you need. With the A7 III and this app, I had three main issues that limited the scope of work I could do using it. The first one was exactly about this. Face autofocus wouldn't work. Just normal contrast autofocus, meaning that if I moved my hands above here, for example, maybe the focus would come to them instead of staying on my face. Second was that recording on dual SD cards wouldn't work, only one at a time. So I was just doing personal content creation with it, but not for clients. And the last one was that IBIS, the in-camera body stabilization, didn't work. Meaning only tripod shots. Gladly, with the A7 IV, absolutely everything works, and this is the same for the FX3, FX30, ZVE1, mostly the newest cameras, they all work with all the features. Check yours in the table and be sure to read down below for the exceptions. Now another super useful feature is to add LUTs to the app. This means that you can already foresee how it's gonna look after the post-production. And especially if you're filming in log profiles, instead of just watching a gray screen, you can have a better idea of how the colors are gonna be like. In camera, you can activate the Gamma Assist display, so you're already gonna be seeing over there a Rec 709 version of what you're recording. In the app, you can choose the same so that it's way easier. Now before, using the LUTs introduced some lag into the video, so I tested it again and these were the results. Wirelessly, still, we got between 10 to 15 frames per second, so with or without LUTs, I wouldn't recommend you to use it. And with the wired connection, it made absolutely no difference, so I just keep the LUTs all the time. Now, since we entered the menu over here, let's take a look at the options we got. And first, we have some options for the app itself. Like for example, if you want to record lower resolution version of the files in your camera, the naming you want to use, if you want to activate recording using the buttons. And below you have some camera options, just like you would have inside the menu. Like for example, switching picture profiles, what the touchscreen does, and some other options. And by the way, in the main screen, if you click on the SD cards over here, you can see what you've been recording during this session, or you can have a live preview of what's on the SD cards in the camera. And you can easily download a version of them to share immediately if you need. Now, in the grand scheme of things, Monitor Plus is a super powerful app that is gonna make your recording experience much easier than using just the LCD screen on the camera, especially when filming yourself. Using it, very hardly you're gonna miss on the framing or the exposure. Now, considering you like the idea of having these features and a bigger screen, having a proper external monitor means you need to carry always the monitor, the cables, and the batteries. Plus, very hardly you're gonna spend less than $200. Now, of course, this is only a fair comparison if Monitor Plus can also do the features you need in your camera. But if it does, it's a lighter, cheaper, and powerful option. Anyways, I wanna know, what do you think? Would you use this app or would you still prefer an external monitor? Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions or doubts about it, and you can follow me on Instagram to see a little bit of the behind the scenes of the testing of these products and apps that I do here on the channel. And after, you can watch this video over here, in which I teach you how to edit everything that you shot with or without app or external monitor inside of CapCut, a super powerful free editor. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you over there. Ciao!